What up? What up? What up? It's RJ Fantasy Football talking. We back again. You know what time it is,
What's
man.
up?
It's fantasy talk, man. It's Rodney. It's Jay. What's going on, man?
Hey, not much, brother. Getting some stuff going on before the show. It's fun this time, as we're getting back into the swing of things.
Oh
So
yeah,
I'm glad
definitely.
we got this moment to work out a couple of kinks and little things here, but I'm just glad that it's football time again. The schedule is out. It's getting a little bit of news coming in here and there, so it's good. How's your week been, bro?
It's good, man. You know how I do, man. I don't do much. I'm just getting myself mentally prepared for these seasons that I'm about to do because I gotta recharge the batteries and get these chips
Yes.
back over here. But other than that, man, I do what I do, man. Take care of the family, and that's about it. Go to work, man. I don't do nothing too crazy. So, hey, you know what time it is. So,
That's what's up. That's what's up. Welcome, Orlena Lewis, to the show. Glad to have you there watching. She actually told me she was going to be on because she got to get herself. Last year was her and a few people in the women's. Shout out to the Women's Fantasy Football League, their first year last year. So there's some excitement, and I know she missed the playoffs last year, by just a smidge. So good to have
eh,
you watching. Good to have everybody out there. Uh, Ready
t-
to start getting these draft preparations going.
tell her it happens. You miss the playoffs sometimes. Ain't no big deal. You got to fight your way back next year. You know,
It is.
you'll be all
It
right. You win the
is.
chip next year, so it's all good.
Oh,
Let's get.
that's your bold prediction. I'm trying to get all your bold predictions. You calling her
Man,
the champion next year?
she can win the
She can
chip as
win.
long as she listens to RJ. She
Watch.
can win the chip. I'm just saying, man. It ain't that hard, people. Listen
Yeah.
to us. We win championships, man.
Another member of the women's fantasy football team, actually in the room in our studio, I know also is interested in winning the trip. So shout out to our producer. How you doing today?
I'm good, and she got to compete against me, so we'll see what happens.
I forgot y'all was in the league together. Oh Lord. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I just said
they all
thank
in that
God.
joint
It just
together.
says she gonna win. She got some competition, so
I'm just
I'm
saying,
just
my bad. I'm sorry. Hey, look, I don't want no problems over here.
it's
I got to
all
wear my
good.
own
You're
stuff,
doing.
so I'm gonna stick with what I know. So
I mean, you saying what you know, what you're saying. It's all good, but I'm just
no,
saying
no. Hey, look, I had nothing to
Hey,
do with that. I apologize. I don't
it's
want
all
nothing to do with
good.
that. No,
we're not playing favorites here. We're not
no,
playing
we ain't.
favorites.
No,
No,
yeah,
sir.
no.
Uh-uh.
That's what's
Hey,
up.
like I say, it's all look. It's all on paper, and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Because she wanted me talking about don't draft Mahomes. I said, hey, you better be in front of me then.
Oh yeah.
That's all. I'm better be in front. Because if I have the opportunity, guess what I'm doing?
Oh my gosh. But
Hey,
I ain't mad at you though, because if I get the number one pick, I'm going Mahomes. I'll let everybody know now.
Uh
Matter of
oh.
fact,
I was like, I'm not holding anything. So hey, you
look,
better be in the right position. Because guess what? Yeah, he's mine
Yeah.
again.
I'm just letting you know. That's how I feel too. So I'm good.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Anyway, how we want to do it? Want to jump into some NFL news?
Yeah, let's jump to some news. It ain't much, but let's jump
Just
into
a
it.
little bit, but not. Yeah, you're right. Not a whole bunch. It's
Let,
still
let's
still real early.
let's I want to say I guess it's a congratulations to the Washington Commanders. They finally got a real owner. I want to say congratulations to Magic Johnson, who is on. He's in that group
Yeah,
as one of the owners. So hey, I mean that's a big win for Washington. They need that, and plus y'all need Washington need a new stadium. I mean the
yeah,
stadium is
yeah.
horrible. I'm going to the stadium this year again. But yeah, it's not the greatest stadium in the world, so they need to build
Yeah,
one.
it's by modern standards. If you went to Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, the FedEx Field does not
Oh
compare at
no,
all
not
to
even.
that Jerry World or the big ones that do it now. But yeah, there's some excitement. In fact, locally, there's a minor league baseball team, the the Bowie Bo Sox, Bay Sox. They're actually having a promotion for anyone because it's the Josh Harris is the guy who's the lead of this group that's taking over, supposed to take over, and so they have a promotion. Anybody with the name Josh or Harris gets a free general admission ticket, and I think they're giving away like their box seat stuff for like $10. It's a real big discount, and if you come in gear, you get a chance to even throw out the first pitch. So they're doing a good riddance to Daniel Snyder, throwing a little bit of shade, but I like it. I like it.
That's major shade because Dan
Yeah.
Snyder was not a good owner. Not
Yeah.
even at best. I mean,
He was terrible.
he overpaid. I remember the years when they had Dion and all those guys when they were past their prime. I mean, past
Albert Hainsworth.
Hainsworth, Bruce Smith. I'm like,
Yeah, I
man,
forgot he did have Bruce Smith on that squad.
he was front loading contracts. They got paid. All them boys got paid. So
and produced absolutely nothing.
nothing. I was like,
So,
Lord
yeah.
have mercy. That's that year. I think Deion Sanders had number 37.
Yeah.
I think that year it was crazy. He wasn't Deion. I tell you that. But
Oh no, not by that. He was not prime time by the time he got there.
Haynes, well, I mean that team was terrible.
Yeah.
So I mean, other than that, you got any news for you?
Small NFL news, of course, is it's not small, but the NFL schedule is out.
Yes,
So
it is.
I know you don't not that big a deal to you, but in the preseason we got the Raiders and the 49ers playing, so it might be a slight reason to even pay attention for the 10 minutes they actually have the real player. How many minutes are the 49ers? Because y'all don't do a lot of preseason with y'all starters.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I am gonna be watching preseason
Yeah.
a little bit more this year for us because of the quarterback situation.
Oh yeah.
I want to see Trey Lance come out and ball out, take the job, but I want to see how it works out with this quarterback situation with Sam
Darnold's out there.
Yeah, Brock Trash Purdy is out there. Yeah. Anybody know me? I'm a Trey guy. I'm not a Purdy guy. So that's just keep it 100 with you. But I want to see how that play out. I want to see how.
You want to see your old guy Jimmy Garoppolo out there?
No,
And
Jimmy
so you can-
Garoppolo, he gonna go break a finger real quick, and you can be like, "Oh man, I knew he was gonna get. I told you he was gonna get hurt. They better not put him out there. Don't play him." Because I'm gonna tell you like this: he's not a good practice player, and he's a horrible preseason quarterback. I'm just letting you know.
He's a horrible player, period. But he's a Raider now, so we're gonna. Hey, Josh McDaniels has his guy. So if nothing else, I'm excited because we can find out whether his system is worth anything. I think really not that much, but we'll see. I'm ready to be proven wrong.
I guess if you
I
feel
doubt
that
it.
way,
I'm very rarely wrong. So we'll see.
I guess now it is a couple games on the schedule in the regular season that I'm interested in. And when I say interested, I mean as far as fantasy purposes.
Is there anything other than fantasy?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm interested, and this might sound not like a game that will produce fantasy numbers, but I think that Detroit Chiefs games will produce
the first game.
some fantasy numbers because Detroit got to throw the football. That means Jared Goff got to throw the football. So I don't know where you place, which you're going to talk about that later. I don't know where you place a Jared Goff in your rankings as far as quarterbacks, but which I have an idea because me and you pretty much think on the same accord most of the time. So I like that game, honestly. I think that's going to be a good game. I don't think they're going to win, but I think from a fantasy standpoint, I think it's going to be something there.
There's a lot to like about it. With, like you said, Jared Goff and Patrick Mahomes, both of them throwing for over 4,000 yards last year. Both of them throwing for how many? Jared Goff actually threw a whole lot of like 29 or something.
29 and Mahomes
touchdowns,
had 41.
And Mahomes had 41. Yeah, 41 plus 4 runs. So they both put up a lot of the yards. They both put up a lot of touchdowns. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown, of course, Travis Kelce. The moves that the Detroit made at running back, bringing in Montgomery and then drafted Jahmyr Gibbs. There's a lot to like fantasy-wise in that game. So I'm with you. I plan to target several players on both of those teams. So.
Oh, of course. I think
Right.
Amar St. Brown, speaking of ranking, I think he's possibly a top 10 receiver this year. Maybe
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
low end of the
I
top
think
10, but
top
I think
10.
he's definitely a top 10 because he puts up numbers and he's done it consistently. He did it for 2 years straight, so you gotta
Yeah.
respect the man that he's
Oh
doing the
yeah.
thing. So another one is early game Buffalo and the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the coming out party for Aaron Rodgers,
Right.
and we get to see what Aaron Rodgers can do in a Jets uniform. I don't think it's going to be much personally. Um, he may do numbers, but I think Buffalo is probably a better team, and I think Josh Allen is just going to be Josh Allen. Now, my question for you is, what do you see Josh Allen ranking him this year with all the other quarterbacks coming in, and plus the Joe Barrows and all that guys
Yeah.
just being a tad bit better this year than they were last year?
Last year I had Josh Allen as my number one overall quarterback. I'm giving that crown back to Patrick Mahomes. Should have
Okay.
never taken it away.
Okay. All right.
However, I talked earlier with you about knocking Josh Allen out of my top three. I
Uh,
think as we're getting closer, I'm going doing my research. I'm still gonna have Josh Allen as my two. So
Ooh.
yeah, I still I know I
Ooh.
lifted him up because I hit him like number
Jeez.
4 or something like that. We were talking earlier. I think
Wow.
Josh Allen is back at my 2 spot
Over Herbert?
over. Well, definitely over Herbert. The only people that could possibly take the 2 spot would be Joe Barrow, who also is doing his. Did you hear on his contract? He's like, it's very clear. He said I made it very clear what I want. So I'm interested in seeing
Oh, he gonna get his. You ain't gotta worry
how
about that.
that goes. Right.
He's
Uh,
gonna get all of his.
I
That
don't
is
think
not gonna be an
it's gonna
issue.
get dragged out as far as the
Oh
Lamar
no,
Jackson
not even. Nope.
contract. So so
You can forget that.
I put Joe Barrow in the possible outranking Josh Allen, and then I think Jalen
Uh,
Hurts is gonna make a big step this year. But other than those two, nah, I don't really see anybody. Even Justin Herbert, I can't quite put above Josh Allen yet. I haven't seen
now,
it.
do you take into account that Justin Herbert threw for 4,700 yards
He threw for a lot.
and half the time his receivers wasn't there?
Yeah, that's something to consider, but
Okay.
we talked about they drafted Quentin Johnson, who helps, but I think the same reason as last year. I don't think that wide receiving core is good enough to surpass what Joe Barrow has to work with. So, hey,
Okay.
and Josh Allen
Oh
on
no,
the other hand,
I,
Josh
I agree
Allen,
with you.
hey, over 4,000, and he still brings you the rushing in addition to those. So Josh Allen threw 35 touchdowns and ran for 7. Uh, Justin Herbert ain't running for touchdowns. That's not his thing.
Well, I
So
agree with you on that. I think, especially if this Eckler thing don't work out,
yeah,
I'm
that's
tending to
another
side
thing.
with you now on the
I'm
Herbert
really
thing.
interested to see how that
Yeah,
goes.
if this
Yeah,
Eckler thing don't work out for them as far as him being there, I don't think he seems like a stand-up guy.
yeah,
So I don't think he would be a guy that's saying, you know what, I ain't gonna be there. But I like Josh Allen. I just think when it comes time,
towards the end of
playoff
the season, he can
season,
fade.
yeah,
He
he
can
fades a
fade.
little bit towards the end of the season, and you need him at the most at that
Yeah,
point.
I need
To be
playoff
honest,
time.
yeah, you
Yeah,
need him at playoffs time. Now we ain't saying Justin Herbert did the same thing, but at least we know he's playing in better conditions.
yeah,
The weather is not messed up. In Buffalo, normally they get the number 1 seed up there. Well, they get a division. They win a division, so they're always going to be a top 3 seed.
right.
So they get a home game. So either you're playing in the snow, the weather's bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, do you want that at playoff
You
time?
what? Just last year they had to evacuate
Yeah,
Buffalo to
it's
play a
like,
game. Yeah,
do you want all of
it
that?
can
I'm
get
like,
messy. It can get
I
very
don't know.
messy. I'm with you.
Now, Aaron Rodgers, speaking of the other team, Aaron Rodgers in the AFC, what do you rank him fantasy wise from an AFC perspective, as far as all the quarterbacks in the AFC, which are Josh Allen's, your Mahomes, your Herberts? Will you put him in that group of AFC
In the
quarterbacks?
AFC, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5 quarterbacks probably in the AFC ahead of Aaron Rodgers.
So if you got 5 in the AFC, I'm pretty sure you got another 3 in the NFC.
For me, Aaron Rodgers he's the top 10 quarterbacks, but he's near the backside. I think he's in a better situation. Hey, he's got the offensive rookie of the year to throw to.
Okay.
So I think I have him in a better position than last year, because last year you got a super Aaron Rodgers discount. And, obviously because he had no one to throw to without Devontae Adams.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think it's an improvement, but I still don't think he can crack like the top 5 of quarterbacks overall. So I think I have him around like 8-ish overall. 8, 9.
I got him at like 10,
Okay.
11.
And I think that's good for you, since you're the biggest Aaron Rodgers hater there is.
I'm not an Aaron Rodgers hater. I just feel like Aaron Rodgers is overrated.
All right, fans, I don't know. Let us know in the comments, is Rodney the biggest Aaron Rodgers hater?
I just think he's overrated sometimes. He ain't won nothing since 2010.
You got a lot of hate.
Praising him. I mean, jeez. Stop.
Okay. We'll let the audience decide.
I mean, we will. I got a couple more games. Obviously we got the 49ers and the Cowboys, which is going to be an interesting game. I like Dak. I like his weapons.
Okay.
But I'm a little concerned that they may run the ball a little bit more this year than usual, because they got a fresh. Now the question is Pollard going to be back in time to start the season? I heard he's healthy.
Yeah.
I heard he's ready to go.
I like I like Tony Pollard. I know that wasn't your question, but I think Tony Pollard is going to get a lot of work. However, the problem with that game is it's still the 49ers defense, and running the ball is not a very effective strategy. And so I think they only do well in that game if it's Dak Prescott to CeeDee Lamb for a lot of yards. And I don't really see that one happening. I think the 49ers are a better team than Dallas.
Now, do you think Brandon Cooks as a number 2 receiver makes I like Brandon Cooks.
I like Brandon Cooks.
I'm a big Brandon Cooks fan.
Always have been.
I think Brandon Cooks, I think he does well this year as the number 2 receiver. Yeah. I think he takes a lot off CeeDee Lamb.
They didn't really have a good number 2 last year.
They didn't.
And so I think Brandon Cooks can be that. And hopefully a more healthy Dak Prescott for next year, because he only played 12 games last year. So
I got one for you. You only can get one now. You only can pick one. Brandon Ayuk or Debo?
Oh, it's Brandon Ayuk. You know what, Brandon? We talked about this one. It's I love Debo until Christian McCaffrey got there. Because Christian McCaffrey is a better Debo. So for me, the thing that made Debo special was he was a running threat and a passing threat. Well, Christian McCaffrey is a running threat and a passing threat. So give me Brandon Ayuk because he's a better wide receiver. So
he runs better. To me, his routes are better. He runs better routes. Mm-hmm. He can beat any corner. If you watch him run routes, he toasts corners on slants, goes, whatever. He's always open. He know how to get separation from corners, from DBs.
Yeah.
Now, if you had to rank them though, because in ranking, they're gonna have Debo higher than Brandon Ayuk. You know that, right? He just rankings, they're gonna have him. Just
his name is bigger. Average draft position, he's going higher. So yeah, that don't make it right though.
They don't make it right. Now I think you get more bang for your buck by going down and getting Brandon Ayuk later.
You get more value.
Draft. Now you get more value because definitely he's gonna bring. To me, he's gonna bring more to the table because of the McCaffrey thing. Because McCaffrey, like you say, he takes away so much of what Debo was doing. It doesn't even make sense. So to me, at the end of the day, I agree with you on that. Now, where you going with McCaffrey? What round?
The first, because it's Christian McCaffrey.
Okay.
Yeah, but before we go too much into rankings, because that's the main topic, The question was on NFL news, the schedule. There's a game that I think we should definitely talk about, and it happens around week 9. So when you're really starting to see who your playoffs teams are, a lot of points scored in the Bills Bengals game. That's going to be a home game for the Bengals. Boy. So if you want to find a game with a lot of points, there you go.
I love all about that. That game that's the game I watch games anyway, but I would watch that game. Period. I'll pay to go to that game. Oh, that's such a big game. Like, and another one is Philly, the rematch of the Super Bowl.
Philly, the Kelsey Bowl Part 2.
Yeah,
I like that.
That one is gonna be good too. I think Philly reloaded, man. Like Philly reloaded, like just in the draft, it was insane how they reloaded, man. And they did it smart. They let a few guys go that they knew they didn't want to pay, and they just rebuilt and got some defensive guys. So hey, I'm not mad at it one bit. So hey, I'm with it. Let's get to the topic.
Let's get to the topic. Let's go with. So the point of tonight is we're talking the early rounds. These are the early targets. So you still got a lot of time to do your research for your draft. A lot of the drafts don't happen till near the end of the summer, and like some dynasty leagues and then some really anxious leagues, they've started their drafts already. If you're in one of those, hey, hit us up with who were your early targets in the comment section. But what we want to go through is just some of the guys that you should be thinking about when your draft comes around and where you might pick such players. So you want to start us off at a spot? Number 1 overall, where you going?
1 overall. If I'm in a passing league, PPR, completions, Patrick Mahomes.
Okay. Quarterback first.
I know it sounds strange because everybody say, well, you need to go get your running back and get your receiver, and get this and get that. No, in the leagues we play in, for example.
In a couple of the leagues we play in a lot of leagues.
You
can't just throw out a blanket statement like that. I'm in like 8 different leagues.
Okay, we playing about 6 leagues together, something like that. I lost count. But in the main one we play in, it's a quarterback-driven league.
You're talking about the league that I won last year. Gotcha.
I was
the one that I'm the champion in. Yes.
I mean, you had to say all that, but I was getting there. Okay.
The people need to know.
You won.
Say it, though, so come on.
Yeah. Jeez, come on, man, you won. Yeah. Congratulations.
Welcome, Jasper Lewis, the senior, to the show. Good to have you with us. But yeah, you were saying in the past happy league, yes.
Yeah, I'm going Mahomes all day long. Especially in the 2 quarterback league, and you got number 1. I'm going Mahomes. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
Where you going?
In that league, I already said that my number 1 overall quarterback is Patrick Mahomes. So for the league we're talking about, we mentioned our barbershop league. It's the one he's talking that we play in, and there's another one that's very similar to that. Those are 2 quarterback leagues with a ton of points for passing bonuses. Is wild. We showed when we took y'all behind the draft last year. We showed you the points that get scored in that one for quarterbacks, and that one there's no other choice than Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. If you don't pick one of those 2 guys, Joe Burrow coming on, then you're out of it. So that one's for me easy. It's Patrick Mahomes all day. Only got it through for 5,000 yards last year.
That is true.
Only got it through for over 40 touchdowns as well. So yeah.
I feel like it's hard to go any other position in a league like that. Now, if you're telling me, is a regular standard league, redraft standard league, I'm going Jefferson.
Last year we did the mock draft, and my number 1 pick was Justin Jefferson. I unfortunately did not do it in any of the actual leagues I drafted in.
Nope.
Despite having several opportunities, and I kicked myself all of last year because that one of the leagues that I built specifically for a move like that. I had the number one pick. I went Jonathan Taylor. I went Jonathan Taylor in a lot of leagues, like a lot of people
Yes, you
last
did.
year, and that did not work out too well. So if I had listened to myself and said Justin Jefferson number one overall, I would have been in a much better position. And so I'm with you that for me in a typical, a more like you said, standard kind of draft, the Justin Jefferson is the guy. He put up over 1,800 yards last year, and that ain't going to change at all. Because we did mention, and the reason I put Justin Jefferson number one in that spot was that they basically took the Rams offense, put it over in Minnesota, and Justin Jefferson is in the Cooper Kupp role in that offense. So if you saw just Cooper Kupp get like 1,900 plus yards 2 years ago, you kind of had the feeling that Justin Jefferson was going to do the same thing, and he sure enough didn't disappoint. So yeah, number one. And in fact, my usual thing is to go running back early. I think this year we want to talk strategy. I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. I'm gonna listen to myself from a year ago, and I think wide receiver will be off the board for me quicker than running backs were. Welcome, Keisha, to the show. Good to have you back. We mentioned the Women's Fantasy Football League earlier, and so we see y'all coming in. It's good to see you. Good to see you.
No, I agree with you totally. I think, to me, wide receivers are more valuable than running backs now.
The way the league is started to become. It's a passing league now.
Of course. Now, the plus is if you get a McCaffrey type or Eckler type, then those are the only two that stand out from Jonathan Taylor too. But Jonathan Taylor had a down year. But
he was hurt too much last year. Yeah.
But the main two guys that benefit from a passing league is Eckler, is CMC. Those are the guys that's going to still get running yards and passing yards and still be productive no matter what. Pollard could get in that conversation if he plays well enough to get there. But right now he's not. Because he showed it last year in the 2 games he started. So, but Pollard was really good last year. Yeah. And I really like that about him, though.
Pollard, to me, is actually being drafted way too low so far in average draft. His average draft position is like the mid-20s right now. Wow. This is going off Fantasy Pros, like 23. And for me, I think he's a late first to early second round player based off the fact that how many years was Ezekiel Elliott a first rounder, and he basically has no Ezekiel Elliott to compete with, and you're getting this guy in his prime. And so I think people are sleeping a lot on a few people, but especially I think because the fact that there's so much what I just said myself, I'm going to go heavier on wide receivers than I normally would in the place of some of the running backs. But there's certain running backs, like you said, the Austin Eckler's, the CMCs, who get both passing and rushing, and most importantly, get touchdowns. That I think you still got to boost those kind of guys up. And I think Tony Pollard, I'm with you. I expect big things from Tony Pollard this year.
Me too. So. I do. I'm telling you, if I can get him at 20, I'll take that.
You're not getting him at 20 in the league I'm in, because I'm grabbing him before. I'm grabbing him before then.
Hopefully, I'm not drafting anywhere around you, because that's the. Yeah. Let me tell y'all something out there. When we draft, most of the time we either draft right beside each other, or it's me and somebody's in between us, and he's right there, and we always either taking from each other and we take from the person in the middle. Like his dad is known for always being in the middle of us, and we always just taking what he wants, and he always get nipped all the time. So it's terrible. But if I can get him, I'm gonna get him. I'm telling you, I'm taking him.
Oh yeah, it is draft position right now. I don't see it. So number one, we pretty much agree. Justin Jefferson in your typical league. Who you going number 2? Are you still staying with wide receivers?
Yeah. It's crazy. I was talking to somebody earlier, and I was like, man, anybody that know how to draft, I normally go tight end. And I was telling myself, well, if Kelsey's not there, then I kind of peel back a little bit, because every other tight end is typically the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's Kelsey, and then like it's a wide margin. You can say Kittles, but like he had his run later on in the season, but it wasn't consistent through the year.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say wide receiver, and I'm gonna say Cooper Kupp because
okay.
by the time you come around, like by the time I'm picking again,
Mm-hmm.
all the top receivers are probably gonna be gone. But I look at it this way: Cooper Kupp coming back healthy. And if you can get this, not even a 1,900 yard Cooper Kupp, but if you can get the 1,600 yard Cooper Kupp with somebody like a Jefferson, I mean, that equals way more than a running back can give you, period.
Last year, Cooper Kupp only played in 9 games. But if you extrapolate, he would have been at like 1,600 yards. And that's what for Matthew Stafford that was very unhealthy.
Thank you.
For me, I don't have him as my number 2 guy, but Cooper Kupp is high on my list. I'm also going wide receiver with the second pick, but I'm going Jamar Chase. So after Justin Jefferson, my next favorite wide receiver is Jamar Chase with Cincinnati. He only played 12 games last year and put up over 1,000. And with that Joe Burrow, he's pretty doggone good. I think he's the next guy that can be putting up that 1,800 yards guy. Welcome, Nita, to the show. And, hey, if you follow us on this is a great time to plug our social media. RJ Fantasy Football Talk on Facebook, Twitter. Hey, we always post before we go on, so make sure you check in on us every once in a while, and it'll let you know. We typically go like every other week during the off season, sometimes 2 or 3 depending on what's going on. But glad that you're joining in with us again.
I was saying so. Jamar Chase, yes, is number 2, but if I was in a draft, obviously Jamar Chase would be gone.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking.
Well, the question was we had Justin Jefferson number 1. The question was who's the number 2? Who's the number 2 Chase. Person? That's.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, yeah. I get you. Now, Jamar Chase obviously is your guy. I think Jamar Chase definitely is. Jefferson and Chase are 1 and 2.
Okay.
And then I would go like a CeeDee Lamb. I'm halfway saying Devontae Adams, but I'm scared of the quarterback situation.
Hey, Jimmy G is going to be a different guy. Hey, you saw in the news, Devontae Adams says he doesn't care who his quarterback is. So, he went from Aaron Rodgers to Derek Carr, and he still put up big numbers. So, my man says his quarterback is irrelevant. So, hey, even with Jimmy G.
I hope that's the case because, geez, at the end of the day, we know what you're getting, but I still think he's just that talented that he can he's going to make a difference regardless. So I don't think it's that big of a deal, to be honest with you. Now,
plus, Jimmy G is going to be hurt at some point anyway, so.
That's true.
We'll see. Of course, it only gets worse after Jimmy G, so I actually kind of hope he stays healthy.
So, yeah, I'm not mad at you at that. I hope you stay healthy for your sake anyway.
Because then it's Brian Hoyer, which is,
Yeah.
Let's move on. Third spot. Now, in the third spot, I move away from wide receivers. That's where I'm going with getting my best value. And I've got 2 possible moves.
Okay.
And they're both on the same team. Well, no, actually, I'm going to make it 1 because I'm going to move my other possible down to my next pick. But at number 3, what I'm going to do there after Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson off the board, I like Travis Kelce. I'm going with your thing about picking tight ends. Travis Kelce distinguished himself last year. He was, I think, the 7th leading receiver in the league at the tight end spot, 1338. He had 12 touchdowns, and there's not a tight end that's going to come close to him. Mark Andrews and T.J. Hawkins are probably the second best tight ends, and neither one of them is as important to their offense as Travis Kelce is. So the main thing I like to do with my draft strategies, I want to be as good as I want to be number 1 in as many positions as possible. And Travis Kelce is going to make you're not going to get the number 1 wide receiver at the 3 spot, but you can get the number 1 tight end in that spot. And so I'm down for doing that. So,
well, I'm going to change it up. and I'm not gonna go receiver. I'm gonna go running back. I'm gonna say Eckler with an asterisk. And when I say asterisk, because I don't know the situation in LA right now, because
Hmm.
he wants out, and he doesn't want to be there. But I think he ends up showing up because I think he has too much respect for himself. So I'm
Hmm.
gonna say Eckler as the three.
Third spot. I like that move.
So I
'Cause,
like Eckler there. So
hey, Eckler gets touchdowns. We talked about
yes,
earlier. He had 18 touchdowns last year and combined 1,600 yards rushing. He gives you a lot of receiving yards and he gives you a lot of rushing yards. Put them
yeah,
together, yeah. I'm not mad at him, and especially consider we talked about Justin Herbert's problem last year was his running. I mean, his wide receivers couldn't stay healthy, but if Austin Eckler's there, he gets those wide receiving
oh
yards. So
definitely,
for
oh
certain.
yeah, definitely,
I
yes.
got Austin Eckler a little bit lower, but I'm not mad at taking him at the 3 spot either.
I
So
mean, you guaranteed 20-25 points just between the catches and rushing and touchdowns. So can't be mad.
yeah.
So what you got at 4?
All right, at number 4, now I'm gonna throw in my surprise. I go with CMC,
Okay.
potentially because I think he has the chance to be in that kind of running back we talked about that gets you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not Austin Eckler, you might go CMC. However, I'm gonna throw another surprise out there and say I'm gonna go against the typical fantasy football rule.
Oh
I'm going
God.
quarterback at my 4th spot, and I'm getting Patrick Mahomes. And we talked about why you do it for the big 2 quarterback,
Yeah,
lots of
of course.
super flex kind of league,
Yeah.
obviously. But I think it even makes sense in a more standard league only because there's not a quarterback that comes close to. Like I said earlier, he threw for 5,000 yards last year. Nobody else was giving you that. He threw for, in fact, the second highest number of yards the quarterback threw was 500. I think it was Justin Herbert, if I remember correctly. It was 500 yards less than
Mm-hmm.
what Patrick Mahomes did, and the next highest number of touchdowns was 6 touchdowns less than what he did. So Patrick Mahomes is giving you something that you're not getting, and that's again my strategy is I want something that no one else can lay claim to. So it's probably for most people too early to go quarterback, but for me, Patrick Mahomes is so distinct that I am taking him at the 4th spot.
Ooh, that's a tough
There
one
you
there.
go.
I ain't mad at that. I ain't mad at that.
And I know our producer is taking him probably even sooner than that.
I
Don't
ain't
play
mad
with
at
me.
that.
Hey, I've had him for.
Ooh.
Have I had him almost every year on some teams I'm
Yeah,
playing?
and I think once you actually did go number 1 overall.
Yeah, I have. So yeah, so that's. I mean, minus she's being my team and whatnot, but
Yeah.
that is my like that
Wow.
is my boy. If I could ever
Yeah.
meet him in person,
So
yeah,
what one of her team names is Casey Curlier, and it has the Patrick Mahomes silhouette, if you will. So,
yeah,
but yeah, it's not. It's not. It sounds crazy, but when you think about the fact that you're gonna be at the top of a position, and that's the thing. That's the main thing with for fantasy football. You're trying to get more than your opponents at as many positions as possible, and you have locked down the quarterback position. It's a risky move at 4. You got to follow it up with some real good picks for your second and third rounds. But hey, hey, if you're not trying hard, then do something else. You gotta go outside the box every once in a while.
So I went Mahomes at 1, Jefferson at 2, Eckler at 3. I'm gonna come back to running back.
Okay.
Standard league. I'm gonna say Derrick Henry. Standard league.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say what you want about his
Standard
age.
or PPR. I'm going Derrick Henry. Yeah.
You can say what you want. I mean, but the man had 15, 38, 13 touchdowns and a surprising 33 receptions and 398 yards, which he gets the knock of not being a guy that catches out of the backfield when technically he did better than Saquon, he did better than Nick Chubb, he
Yeah.
did better than Josh. I mean, he almost did better than Josh Jacobs. So for me,
Uh huh.
I'm saying Derrick Henry. and I'm feeling confident going up there saying Derrick Henry too.
We talked and welcome Keg Card to the show. We got a Dynasty question coming in. Get right to that. We talked before the show started that Derrick Henry has fallen very low in average draft
Yes,
position. He's down. What did I tell you before? Number 20. He's like
20.
number of according to Fantasy Pros. He's number 20.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it has to do with his age. I think a lot of it has to do with the
Okay.
potential trade. There's the general manager for the Titans says that they haven't gotten any trade offers for him, but there's still a lot of rumors that they might move him.
I don't think
And the fact that they drafted a running back in the third round lets some people believe that they're going to move on for Derrick Henry. For me, nah.
nah.
I got Derrick Henry a lot higher than number
Yeah.
20. So if you have a chance to get Derrick Henry in the second round, like that would suggest, you better doggone do it. But if it's in my league, I'm grabbing him in the first round. I'm with you. Let's hit this
Yeah.
Dynasty question. Thanks, Kid Carr, for joining the show. Hit that like, hit that subscribe if you haven't done so already.
Please do.
The question is, would you trade the number 2 and the number 7 overall picks for number 1 and potentially get Bijan Robinson? It's not a super flex league, which is important to thanks for noting that. But they need a running back badly. Not sure Robinson will be that much better than Gibbs. So if you can go 2 and 7 for number 1, I've seen people make some really big trades to get Bijan Robinson, which I kind of get. What do you think? What
Well,
are you trading the number 2 and so you have the number 2 and the number 7 overall? So you got 2 picks in the first round. Are you giving up those 2 picks in the first round of your Dynasty League for Bijan Robinson?
man, that is tough.
That's
there.
a hefty price to pay.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I ain't doing that.
I can't
I
do
love
it.
Big John. I can't do it. I'm sorry. And everything
Uh-huh.
I'm hearing out of rookie minicamp,
Uh-huh.
they saying they using him all over the field.
They are.
I get all of that.
I love
do.
it.
But if I'm doing that trade, I'm gonna need something back,
Yeah.
like a second round, a third round this year.
Right.
Easy. Now I'm gonna need something more than that back. I wouldn't do it. I like Bijan, but Gibbs he may get more opportunities. Honestly,
The only thing about Gibbs to me is he's going to a team where they just put in David Montgomery in that spot. But here's the deal: it's dynasty. You got to think
Dynasty.
long term. You got to think
Yes.
big picture. What you can get with the 2 and the 7 in the dynasty league, you have Jamar Gibbs. You could obviously go for, but you
Yep.
can make that second pick. Maybe you go with one of the quarterbacks. We talked the draft last time. I'm not that huge on a lot of these quarterbacks, but I can see
It's dynasty, though.
a Bryce Young or a CJ Stroud as a potential second pick. But more so for me, if I'm in the 2 and the 7, I'm going Jamar Gibbs, and then I'm picking the highest wide receiver that's out there.
see, but
Yeah.
what you not miss, what you miss, Gibbs steps right in and actually he steps in as the third running back. Well, the running back catching out of the backfield, so he's the third down back automatically because Montgomery doesn't catch out of the backfield.
He can.
But he doesn't do it that well.
Well, and to that argument, the other thing about David Montgomery is
He's
he is
always
liable to
hurt.
get hurt.
Thank
Exactly. He's liable to get hurt.
He's
And
always
then
hurt. So
Yeah.
I think Gibbs can. I think both of them gonna play.
Mhm.
Period. I think yes, Bijan is gonna get a lot of the touches, but we cannot forget about the fact that Bijan is still in the backfield with Patterson at the same
Cordarrelle
time.
Patterson's there.
Who can take some of those reps
Mhm.
away from him. But I also think Gibbs is gonna step in and really get work like that from day one as your third down back, probably even as a slot receiver. They might use him as all the way around because they got rid of Swift for a reason.
Yeah,
Trust and believe.
and that's kind of my feeling. I'm going, but John Robinson I think was by far the best player in the draft. He's one of those transformative guys. But for me, the chance to get and I see your follow up. I like Gibbs in one of those top wide receivers.
Yeah.
Combined more than I will on Robinson because there's 2 things. number one, running back's life is very
Very
short.
short.
So you
Very
get Bijan
short.
Robinson, but hey, there's a reason that you see so many running back committees. There's a reason that you see people not giving long-term contracts to running backs. And so I'm looking at here. His current team has Saquon Barkley. So I'm definitely not. No, if I got
No,
I
not
got
even.
Saquon Barkley and Javonte Williams on my squad,
That's your
there's
future
no
right
way.
there.
I don't care about Bijan Robinson that much. I'm going
No.
Gibbs and getting that wide receiver because you need wide receiver help way more than you need running back help.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah.
I'm going to get that.
Yeah,
I
I'm not.
like Zay Flowers.
Yeah.
I think he's
I
gonna
like
he's gonna
Flowers.
do it. Jordan Addison gonna do well. I think Jordan Addison
Yeah,
gonna do
we
well.
talked Jordan Addison last week.
Yeah,
I guess 2
I
weeks
love
ago.
Jordan Addison.
Yeah, I think
I
he's
love
going to
Jordan
put
Addison
in
a lot. So
some work.
I
So.
think I'm going Jordan Addison, and I'm going to get one of the quarterbacks.
I like Addison more than Flowers only because
too.
of the team that he's with. I'm
Oh,
still
yeah.
not convinced that Lamar Jackson's going to throw for 4,000 yards yet.
No.
I'm interested to see how this new offense looks for the Ravens. But yeah, when I see your squad,
Oh, God.
I like your running backs, and I'm adding Jamar Gibbs to that running back group. And yeah, you don't need.
I mean,
for that one,
think about
I
this.
don't feel like I need a Bijan Robinson. I think he's going to be like I say, a transformational player. But you already got transformational running backs on your squad. Get that wide receiver help. What do you think of JSN at 2? I think that's probably too high.
Yeah.
Only because of where he landed. And if you'd asked me that question before the NFL draft, I would have said I don't think that's too high because I had him going to a completely different team. But
Yeah, he went
if
to
he's
Seattle.
if he's at Seattle with
Yeah.
DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, that's a lot to compete with. And they have Kenneth Walker, and they drafted what's his name?
The running back.
The running back,
Yeah.
whose name escapes me.
But
Chamberlain.
honestly, let me tell you like this. I think JSN,
yeah,
Lockett, I'm not saying Lockett is on the way out as far as old, but I think
he's older. Yeah.
I think they're trying to transition
Mhm.
to a younger receiver. I'm telling you, because it's too high at 2.
Yeah.
I would definitely say it's too high at 2. But I think JSN, with DK taking the top off in the middle and Lockett taking the top off, he gonna eat in that middle so much because they draw so much attention between the two of them. He gonna definitely get. It is up to Geno to get him the ball, but definitely I think JSN at 2 is too high. But I think he's a great pick if you can get him later on.
The only way I kind of do that is if I intend to go in that first round wide receiver.
Yes.
And that way you can, like you said, like you showed you're pretty good at running back. If you want to make that
definitely
risk, but I still do it. I think I would still prefer to have Gibbs in the next best wide receiver I come up with.
And another thing, I think
Good question, so.
he's good. Definitely good question. CD Lamb is definitely for the future.
Yeah. See,
T Higgins is definitely for the future. Now, my only question mark on your team is Mike Williams.
I knew you were gonna say that one.
I'm definitely going to receive it because Mike Williams can't stay healthy for nobody.
Yeah.
Jordan Addison will probably be one of those 2 picks for me.
Yeah.
If I'm him, because if you think about future, because you got T Higgins is a 1A period with Jamar Chase. He's gonna get work regardless. So if T Higgins is on another team, he'll be the number 1 receiver. That's how good he is.
Yeah.
And I think everybody know about CeeDee Lamb, but Mike Williams, I think, is your biggest question mark because he's just not healthy all the time. Jordan Addison would try to take that, and you'll be all right because he steps in and he does work. I'm trying to tell you. Definitely, because if I'm not mistaken, he went to Minnesota.
Yeah, Addison's in Minnesota.
Yeah, he's stepping in as the number 2.
Exactly. That's why we said we liked him last year. Yeah.
And Jefferson is getting double teamed. Addison gonna get work, especially against the number 2 cornerback. He gonna kill him. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. All right, thanks again for the question. We appreciate it. Hit that like, hit that subscribe.
Definitely, please.
So, where were we? We were talking. We went through like our first 5-ish picks.
Well, this is 4. I went 4 Derrick Henry.
Yeah, you went with Derrick Henry. That's where I think we were at 5 though.
We're at
because
5 now. Yeah.
yeah. So I didn't go yet. I was gonna
No.
say Austin Eckler. That's where I had Austin Eckler as my 5 spot going
Mhm.
there. If he's off the board, then I go back to a player that you said earlier, Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
Because I think he's probably going to still be around at that point.
I think
And
so,
assuming
too.
he's back healthy, I think he picks up where he left off. You're gonna at least get that. We talked about 1,500 plus yards
Man,
because,
he gonna get
quite
them.
frankly, as long as Stafford's healthy, he is that offense. And hey, they already moved on from Allen Robinson, which is a trip I don't know why they took last year. So Cooper Kupp, I think, comes in once again that big heavy guy. So you get him, you're set.
Okay,
Who
I,
you
I
taking
like
after
that.
that?
Now I'm gonna go because no quarterback has been off the board except Patrick Mahomes. I'm going Joe Burrow. I can't let him slip here. I think he is going to have a big year. I actually like Joe Burrow over Josh Allen personally, in my opinion. But
I'm
that's
not
just
mad at
me.
that.
That's just me. Um, but I'm going Joe Burrow here
I
because I
like
need I need my quarterback.
another off the usual books kind of guy.
Hmm.
But like we said, and one of the things I think people really need to consider this year, and we've talked about this a little bit. There is a huge drop off in quarterbacks this year compared to
Yes, it
years past.
is. Oh my
There's no
God.
Tom Brady this year. Aaron Rodgers is getting old. You talk about long in the tooth. He's getting up there. Um,
Yeah.
we saw Russell Wilson and Dak Prescott look so. I think they're both bounced back a little bit this year, but we're seeing a lot of drop of a quarterback. So after you have Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and Joe Burrow,
Hmm.
it gets kind of questionable. There's a couple of other quarterbacks we'll probably mention later that I like, but this is one of the rare years I think where you can go quarterback. A lot of the logic says you don't draft the quarterback until like round 5, maybe 6,
Hmm.
because the value that you can get from some of those lower tier guys. But this year, there's not as many lower tier guys, I think, as there used to be. So if you jump up, I told you I would jump as far as 3 or 4 to get Patrick
Yeah.
Mahomes this year. If you go Barrow here, where we're at, like what, pick 6, I'm not mad
6.
at that.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at that.
Yeah.
But who I have next off my list, coming off my board, is Tyreek Hill, who put up 1,700 yards last year.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
here's the issue with Tyreek Hill. Tua is real iffy coming off those concussions last year, but I'm going to gamble that no matter who, even if for some reason it's not Tua, I think Tyreek Hill was just that kind of dude where he's going to put up a bunch of yards. So Tyreek Hill's my next, because like I said, I'm going with a lot of wide receivers this year in my early picks. So there you go. Who you got next?
I'm
Who you
going.
like next?
Hmm, I'm going Devontae.
This is where he comes in. I like that.
I'm
For
going
the same
Devontae.
for the same kind of logic. Because
Yeah.
hey, we mentioned he don't care who his quarterback is. He can put it up. Jimmy Garoppolo's not the greatest, but the
But
Raiders don't really have a
what
lot.
I do think I think
The
they're
route
gonna shorten the routes
they have to.
for Devontae to get the ball. They're gonna have to shorten the routes.
Yeah.
He gonna have to work harder for yards, but I think he's capable of doing that. He's big and he's gonna break tackles, so that's
Yeah.
just normal for him. So I think Devontae at this spot, I think is a good spot for Devontae
Yeah.
here
We're
because
getting
of the quarterback
yeah.
situation.
At this point, we're getting near the end of the first round, depending on how many teams are in your league. So around that 8-9 spot, yeah, I think that's a good spot for him. Another person I pick around this spot would be like a Saquon Barkley. Um, we saw some list. I don't know whether we get to his name tonight because I don't think he's an early round guy. But people are really
Mhm.
big on Daniel Jones. But the reason Daniel Jones had the success he had last year is
Yeah.
because what Saquon Barkley brings, and coming off a lot of people were not that high on Saquon last year because of his injury history, but he proved that he's still that guy when healthy. And so I'm picking a Saquon right here. He had 1,300 rushing last year, 300 yards receiving, 10 touchdowns, and I think that's just the beginning because he was just coming back, like we said, from injuries. I think in a full healthy year, he can put up even bigger numbers. So it's not a whole bunch of running backs I'm taking in this early first round, but he's one of those game changing guys. After your CMC and your Austin Eckler's, I think Saquon's the next running back I'm taking.
Well, I'm loading up. I'm probably gonna load up on probably receivers, but I think I'm gonna go Nick Chubb here.
Okay.
Nick Chubb doesn't catch out the backfield, but Nick Chubb is going to get you a lot of rushing yards, a lot of touchdowns. He's going to carry the ball a lot. And they have nobody behind him this year to take away from that. So I think I like Nick Chubb here.
Yeah.
I'm Nick Chubb.
I'm not mad at that. But I'm gonna go with last year's leading rusher because for some reason my man Josh Jacobs put up 1,600 yards last year.
I knew it was coming.
400 yards receiving, 12 touchdowns, and he can't get no love.
You're worse than me. You are worse than me. You went Homer early. Too.
No, I'm not Homer early.
You went Homer. Oh my god.
Maybe I should say this: the leading rusher from last year, and I'm looking at Fantasy Pros average draft position, and Josh Jacobs is number 15, and I'm like, yo, did we forget last year so quickly? At this point, yo, I think because right now we're at the end of the first. If it's a 10-team league, we're at the end of the first round, or if it's 12, we're almost at the end of the first round. And I think this is a brilliant time to put in a Jonathan. And if we're not going to go Josh Jacobs, maybe I say I believe that Jonathan Taylor will be fully healthy this year, and I go with Jonathan Taylor instead. But he burnt me so bad last year. I don't know if I'm willing to make that commitment. So I'm going with Jonathan Taylor or Josh Jacobs. My preference is for Josh Jacobs. Because number one, I think we established that Jimmy Garoppolo is a terrible quarterback. He dinks and dunks and dunks and dinks. And hey, Josh Jacobs does catch out the backfield. And if you're gonna dunk and dink to Josh Jacobs, I'm taking those extra yards that he can get. Okay. And I'm not a homer. I am a homer, but I'm not a homer on that pick because again, he was the leading rusher just last year.
I thought I was gonna go Homer early, but Lord, you beat me to the punch. Jeez. Okay, I'm not mad at that.
It's not a Homer pick. And also, for those in the audience, hit us up if you have questions. We're going through our early draft picks, but if you have questions or comments on any of the ones we pick, or you have your own guys you think we've overlooked to this point, please feel free to put it in the comments who the early targets you're looking for. And I hope you're looking for Josh Jacobs.
Boy, you funny. Whatever. I'm gonna go ahead and load up at receiver. Get me a receiver. CeeDee Lamb.
Lamb, this is about that time.
CeeDee Lamb, come on home. I think CD had a good year last year.
Yeah, 13-59. He didn't have a lot of touchdowns, but I put part of that on the fact that there was no Dak Prescott for like almost half the season. And so take it for what it's worth. And again, with no Ezekiel, I think they're gonna probably. I think Tony Pollard. We mentioned earlier. Have we taken Tony Pollard yet? I don't think. I think you may. He's still available. But I think CeeDee Lamb's gonna have to step it up because I think he's the main focal point of the offense this year.
Yeah.
So I'm not mad at the CeeDee Lamb pick. Is it too early? Because we have not mentioned a rookie yet. We had the question about Bijan Robinson. End of the first round. Is this where you take, or do you like him a little bit later?
I'm not taking him.
I'm taking him. I'm taking him at the end of the. I think Bijan Robinson's like the end of the first round, beginning. Right now, his average draft position is about 10. So this is about that time in your draft where you're probably going to have to take Bijan Robinson. I mentioned when we were talking rookies last a couple of weeks ago that I don't like this, and you mentioned it earlier. The fact that he's in there with Cordero Patterson. Tyler Algier was not too shabby last year.
Nope.
He stepped into, I think, a crowded running back room, but I think
Yeah.
he's good enough in that run. I think, and I think we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, Cordero Robinson is not taking another snap at running back if I'm the coach. He is a solid wide receiver. And then I just have to decide between Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson. I think there's enough space in there for Bijan Robinson to get enough to justify. And if you haven't already seen Nick Chubb come off your board, he's the other guy I would take around the end of the first round. And I'm still going to say, like I said before, there's a real big shortage of quarterback depth this year. So end of the first round, beginning of the second, it's also not a bad time if you want to go quarterback if no one's done that yet.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to me, it's so. I'm looking at the draft board, right? And there's so many receivers that we haven't even took yet. Like for me, Diggs hasn't even came off the board yet.
Diggs hasn't. We have not mentioned Diggs yet.
Nope. Diggs hasn't come off the board yet.
But it's about that time. Yeah.
And I'm going Diggs on the come around, on the wraparound. So I'm going Diggs.
Yeah. I'm not mad at that because I'm looking down at my sheet of who we've called, and he's probably the next guy coming because we've already, at this point, probably Nick Chubb was gone. CeeDee Lamb, you went with a couple. So, yeah, Diggs is probably the next guy. 1,400 yards, 11 touchdowns. And, yeah, I think that's probably the best move you can make at this point. If not Stephon Diggs, maybe you go with A.J. Brown, who also had like 1,500 yards last year, 14 touchdowns. And I think Jalen Hurts is going to be better this year than he was last year. And that means that A.J. Brown's going to probably be better this year than he was last year. So I'm going Diggs or I'm going A.J. Brown. So I think this is the time to grab those other wide receivers. I'm with you.
I'm gonna go 1A. This 1A guy, I'm going Waddle.
You know, I'm
going Waddle. I mean, Waddle. I mean, think about it. Waddle did work, man.
He put up 1,300 as the second wide receiver.
That's the second wide receiver.
Yeah.
It could have had more if Tua wouldn't have got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Just think about that for a minute. Yeah. I mean, I think Waddle, and the crazy part is you can get Waddle late. You're going to be able to get him late because of all the other receivers that's there.
Yeah.
You can literally get Waddle in probably
the second round. You can get him at the end of the second, early third.
Early third, and probably you could pair him and Amon-Ra St. Brown as your two receivers and still get work.
That was going to be the next name I pulled out.
Oh,
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Jeez, man.
So yeah, this is. Hey, we're almost looking like the real NFL draft where they went 4 wide receivers in a row because this is that time where these aren't the probably elite guys. They're not the Justin Jeffersons, of course, and the Jamar Chases. They're all gone, but you're pulling in guys that aren't that far behind at this point.
Not even, man.
So you're going,
man. Lord have mercy.
And if you want to throw a little monkey wrench in the game, maybe if you don't have, maybe you go with like a Jalen Hurts here, because he had a really good he had a good combined rushing and passing season last year. Jalen Hurts put up like 3,700 yards throwing and like 700 roughly rushing yards, and he combined for like 35 touchdowns. So we mentioned the depth at quarterback this year. We're in the middle of the second. I'm not mad at taking so we're throwing out a lot of quarterbacks probably earlier than most, but especially if you're in a super flex league, you definitely want to hit one of these guys early. But if you want to throw another wrench at it, maybe you go up the next tight end, because after Travis Kelce, there's really not a lot. So maybe around here you go Mark Andrews or TJ Hawkinson.
I'm going Hawkinson.
Okay.
I'm going Hawkinson. I was about to say that because
Yeah.
I was trying. I had to short my tight end position.
Hmm.
I was looking at it and I was like, well, Kittle's on the board, Andrews on the board, Hawkins
Yeah.
on the board, and I'm like, well, I think Hawkinson is a better. I ain't gonna say a better situation, but I think he's more of a key guy in that offense
Hmm.
over because now you got OBJ, you got Flower, you got Zay Flowers, you got all those guys over there. It's just a
Yeah.
lot going on.
You got some more
Mark Andrews is
names.
gonna get his, but is he gonna get it the same like he used to? Now with Kittles, Kittles is in that with a whole bunch of other people,
Yeah.
CMC's, Debo. Now I need Hawkinson, who's gonna know he had 129 targets last year.
Yeah.
That's a lot of targets.
That's a lot, especially with Justin Jefferson there. And
Yes.
so if you can get that kind of production from your tight end, again, the name of the game is be better at as many possible positions
Exactly.
as you can, because you're not going to be number one at every position. So this is where you're trying to sneak some of those things in where, okay, I had the number one wide receiver if one early. This is around the time where you might be able to pull in, okay, I'm also the number one or number two tight end because Kelsey's gone definitely by the middle. Kelsey's a first round pick. Second round, if you want to distinguish yourself from your opponents, I think Hawkins is a great pick right there. I like Andrew, despite the fact of there's a lot more, I guess, talent in Baltimore, but I still think Andrews is probably going to be Lamar Jackson's number one guy.
No doubt.
So,
I don't doubt that at all.
So I'm cool with either one of those picks at this point. After that, here's one for you. We mentioned his quarterback. Do you think it's too early to go Garrett Wilson?
Oh, of course, yes. It's too early.
You think?
I'm gonna tell you why.
Why
it's
you
too
think
early?
that?
Why? Well, if you're saying Garrett Wilson, right, and you still got Amar St. Brown still on the board.
I called him on Ron St. Brown just a couple of picks ago. So he's gone in this theoretical draft.
Devontae Smith is still there.
Okay.
It's a couple of guys. Even
there can't be too many guys.
Old Mike Evans.
Sure, Baker Mayfield.
Mike Evans gonna get his though.
Okay.
Even a T Higgins.
Oh, okay. I'm not mad at a T Higgins here.
A T Higgins, you might want to say, is probably. Again, this is my whole thing with Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
And I don't care what nobody say. I'm gonna continue to say this. He has to get a reputation or a rapport with him. You have to. If he doesn't, it's gonna be like any other receiver. He's just gonna look another way and throw it to somebody else. Because you got to think he's bringing his guys there. So you already got to get it. He did.
He's bringing in 175-year-old Randall Cobb.
I ain't talking about
He's bringing in Alan Lazard, who can't stay healthy and can't catch.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
He has to.
He's bringing in some guys. I give you that.
I'm glad he's in camp with these guys, but you have to be there with him to get a rapport with him. Now, if you're picking, if you saying Garrett Wilson at this point, I'm saying T Higgins.
I'm not going to be mad at T Higgins over Garrett Wilson because right now we're probably at around the 21, 22. So if you're in a 10-team league, we're starting the third round. If you're in the 12-team league, we're getting near the end of the second. I'm not mad at T Higgins there. That's not bad. But here's my I'm gonna try to rally for Garrett Wilson as much as possible.
Okay, good.
I'm gonna rally for him. Garrett, if you're watching, hey, remember, I'm the one who hooked you up here.
Okay.
Garrett Wilson, Offensive Rookie of the Year, put up 1,100 yards with Zach Wilson and Joe Flacco as his quarterbacks. Okay. Now he's got Aaron Rodgers coming in there. And yeah, there's the old decrepit crew that Aaron Rodgers is dragging along with him. I saw somewhere someone was joking on social media that now Jordy Nelson's going to come out of retirement. And so we'll see what happens. But Garrett Wilson is the most talented wide receiver on that team. And I don't think it's close between Hughes and two. And this is you, the guy who says that Aaron Rodgers locks in on one person and that gets 90% of his throws. I think Garrett Wilson is the new Devontae Adams. I said it. Drop mic. Yes.
All right. and I'm gonna come back and tell you that 1103, it's nice and everything. It's cute. It's sweet. But I'm still going Scary Terry, who played with
Sam
uh
Howell.
no, his quarterback was even worse last year.
Yeah, but this year it's going to be Sam Howell.
And Scary Terry's still gonna do better. All I'm saying.
It's hard to be worse than
Terry-
Carson Wentz
Carson
or
Wentz
Taylor
was bad.
Hanke. They're both terrible. Yeah.
They were both terrible. He played with Zach Wilson, who was terrible, and he still put up 1191 and 5 touchdowns, which was better than Garrett Wilson last year, by the way.
Garrett Wilson, the new Devontae Adams. You heard it here first.
I'm gonna let you have that. If you want it, you can have it. I ain't taking them though. I ain't doing it.
I'm not mad at that. All right, who would you go with after this? We're around 24, 25-ish on our picks. The pickings get kind of questionable at this point.
I mean, if you're a vet, you savvy, you can make some stuff happen here, man. Let me see. Let me see. I'm going Travis Etienne.
Good one.
Travis Etienne.
That's a good one. That's a good one. He's got that backfield pretty much to oneself. If he's healthy, I think he's going to have a remarkable year because the Jaguars are looking like a really competitive team. I love that pick. And he's kind of fallen off a little bit. His average draft position on Fantasy Pros is like number 25. So I guess that's about where we are. So maybe the populace has it right. I'm not mad at that. I'm gonna throw it.
I had some other stuff out there now.
I had Travis Etienne on my list, but I had another guy beside him. I just said Garrett Wilson. I'm gonna stay on the same team and say, grab you some Breece Hall love. He's looking like he's getting healthy, and could be back. Cause before he got hurt last year, people were talking about Breece Hall like he was the second coming of Barry Sanders and the best thing that happened to the Jets, in years since maybe Le'Veon Bell. I think he is the Bijan Robinson of a year ago, basically. And I think this is a great spot to pick him in. I think Aaron Rodgers only makes the situation better for him as a running back. So there you go. If you can't get Travis Etienne because Rodney jumped in front of you, I'm gonna go Breece Hall.
Okay. Then I'm gonna come back around.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get Aaron Jones.
Yes.
Just saying.
I'm not mad at that either because we're going to see what Jordan Love can do.
He needs Aaron Jones.
He needs some Aaron Jones.
He needs some Aaron Jones.
I'm not going to make him my pick, but since we're talking about the Packers, we last year there was supposed to be number 1 and number 2.
Man, we ain't talking about that, man.
We're not talking about. We're not even going to mention.
Oh man,
no,
that was a tip. No.
They tipped at us with that a year ago. We took the bait. We're not even taking the bait.
Thinking about it this year.
Pretend that is it. There is no number 1A and 1B in Green Bay. It's just it's Aaron
Jones.
Okay.
That's it. Plain and simple.
1A and it's over. I hear you. All right. We're at the end of the second round, so we're probably out of early picks. There's a few notable names I think we should probably talk about here or there just to get your opinion on them. But I'm ending the second round with a guy who people had high expectations for last year, and he kind of, I guess, fell off in some people's minds, but he was legitimately hurt and still put up over 1,000 yards rushing. Najee Harris.
You jerk.
I guarantee you he's going to have a awesome third year. And I was big on Najee Harris last year, and he disappointed a lot of players. But towards the end of the year, he started coming on big. Get you some Najee. If you got if he's available at the end of your second round, you better go grab Najee Harris. I'm telling you now, he's going to pay dividends for you.
You jerk.
Yeah.
I'm going here. And I was just looking at that name, too. I was like, Najee Harris, Stumbling Boy. Okay. All right. I see how you want to play. All right. You going to make me go in the bag. Well, I'm going to go. Don't like the situation in New Orleans. Kenneth Walker III.
I was curious about him. That's not bad. I didn't have him in my early picks, like in the first 2 rounds. But if we're gonna scoot a little bit into the third round, he's probably the next guy I'm gonna call. I'm with you there. I'm a little bit concerned that maybe Seattle's getting too good with the amount of players they have there, and there's only one one football to go around. That's never too good for your team. I think the Seahawks are going to be someone to really contend with this year. But for fantasy football purposes, I don't like to see too many cooks in the kitchen because it starts to make me think.
I give you that.
And you've got a potential. Not a definite one, but you have a potential running back committee forming with the Seahawks. I think Kenneth Walker was so impressive last year that he's definitely the number one guy. But I'm not mad at that. Those were all of my early guys, but I want to get your opinion. You mentioned a few of them actually already, because you went with Devontae Smith over Garrett Wilson, which I'm not mad at because he's another guy I said who was probably for me a little bit outside of my early targets, but he's in that next group of guys when you're getting towards like the third round that you want to go with. But a name we haven't said yet, what is going to happen with Dalvin Cook this year? What do you think? Because he's a guy that's usually really high in the first round, and you can see he's been falling off, and a lot of it has to do with the fact of where he's going to be this year. What do you do with a Dalvin Cook? Do you try to grab him at this point and say, hey, let's see what happens?
Right now, I think you grab him and stash him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because right now they literally have took him off billboards and websites.
Yeah.
And they don't want him there. So
yeah,
I'm thinking stash him. He may go to Miami.
Yeah, I'm surprised there hasn't been a movement in the NFL yet. If they're looking like they're gonna go Alexander Madison, you would think there would be some people jumping up saying, "Yeah, we'll take some Dalvin Cook." There's a lot of teams that need running back help.
I mean, he did 1,000 yards last year. Yeah, he did about 8 touchdowns, close to it, I think. I'm surprised he's still on the board. I mean, I'm not surprised, but I feel like at the end of the day, it's that hanging over his cloud of where he gonna play. I think
I know why he's still on the fantasy football boards because it's that uncertainty. I'm just wondering why there's not more movement in the NFL with all the noise around it, and why he hasn't found a new home if Minnesota's not going to be his place.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's strange to me, but if I'm Miami, which they have a ton of running backs, I don't see why you go to Miami. Like, if you're just going for the sun and the weather, that's fine. But
hey, there's a lot to see on the beach. There we go. Leave that alone.
Yeah. But if you're going to play football, I mean, they got.
There's happier homes, I think you could find.
Yeah, I mean, Buffalo is one. I understand you don't want to step on your brother's toes.
I'm about to say,
but it's a league, bro. Like, you can step in Buffalo and be the number one guy because they don't have one.
Yeah.
They don't. I mean, he probably got another 2, 3, maybe 2 years, good years left if he can stay healthy. But he don't need to be the main focal back anymore.
Yeah.
He needs somebody that can kind of come in and take some spells from him, probably his brother. So, I mean, I
think he's a great veteran to have in your locker room. So
yeah, definitely.
Someone should be making that move if it's not going to be Minnesota, but I guess we'll see.
Now, we see George Kittle is still on the board.
Yeah.
And I'm not shocked, but a little surprised because I feel like definitely Kelsey is ahead of him. Hawkinson is ahead of him.
But this is probably where he belongs, around the 4th tight end.
Even Mark Andrews is ahead of him.
Yeah.
And then you can go Kittles. But I don't see him putting up, because he put up 11 touchdowns last year. I don't see that. Now, the reason I say that is because if you look at the quarterback situation, if Trey Lance is the starter, I don't see 11 touchdowns because of the the way they want to throw with him. Now, if Brock is there, then obviously yes, he can reach that number again probably. But if Trey is the quarterback, it's more versatile. They throwing down the field, so it'll be Debo and Brandon Ayuk with those touchdowns as opposed to George Kittle's. So fourth round probably is the best for him because he's probably third in the pecking order. Well, fourth behind all these other tight ends. Now, what are you doing with Evan Ingram? Had a surprise year last year.
Nothing.
Okay, I'm saying he played well.
Okay. Good for him.
Okay.
Yo, yeah, he can't. He is my. I'm short on tight ends, and okay, I see him in the same vein as I take a role with Austin Hooper or Hayden Hurst kind of guys. That honestly, after you get out of the first three tight ends, I don't care who my tight end is.
It drops off.
It's such a big drop off that you can kind of just replace guys. I might take a role with some of the rookies. I might, and I did this accidentally last year. If I don't get one of the top three guys, I might just put tight end way in the back. Let's get one of these. There's some rookie tight ends that are coming off that I would feel very comfortable with, given the state of tight ends in the NFL. So yeah, Evan Ingram has no appeal to me at all.
You know who we forgot to talk about?
Who did?
Chris Olave.
He is just outside the list. I have our early round of guys, and then I have my notable people that you should probably be targeting. And if you didn't get those, if you followed my advice before and you went early on quarterbacks, Chris Olave is right here on this list of the next kind of guys you jump for. Yeah.
This list is crazy. DK.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, DK. You can still Tyler Lockett's still out there.
Judy.
Yeah,
is out there. Judy, I think Judy's gonna do good year. Oh my god,
he has to do better. I say that much.
I'm a little shaky with DJ Moore though.
I was going to put on my notable list. He is not an early round guy, but Justin Fields is someone I'm kind of targeting, just for the sake of what he's gonna do with his feet. And I think DJ Moore can make him a legitimate, not great, but legitimate passer. Because I think Justin Fields, I think I have it written down somewhere. I think Justin Fields threw for like 2,242 yards. It wasn't a lot, but he added 1,100 yards. He was like the 7th leading rusher or something like that in the NFL. And so if I can get him with DJ Moore, perhaps maybe he gets over 3,000. If he can throw for more than Lamar Jackson, then it still give me that 1,100 rushing. I like Justin Fields this year, and so he's not an early round pick. But if you're going to wait for your quarterback until like rounds 5 or so, Justin Fields is a guy I probably would target, and DJ Moore is part of the reason why. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot out there, man. I'm looking at this list, and this is crazy. Chris Godwin, you got.
Yeah, I think Baker Mayfield is scaring Mike Evans and Chris Godwin away. We need the third man Shaq out here to tell us what's going to happen with Baker Mayfield at the helm.
I don't think Baker Mayfield starts.
You don't? I hope not.
I don't. I think they go with Kyle Trask. I think Kyle Trask I think they give him a shot.
Go with the young guy.
Yeah, I don't think Baker.
I'm not mad at it.
We all know what Baker can do
and can't do.
Yeah. And can't do. So it's not surprising. Yeah. So I think Kyle Trask is probably going to start the year. And they may actually, don't be surprised if they trade for a quarterback in preseason.
Wouldn't surprise me. I just can't. The NFC South is going to be so interesting to watch this year because honestly, none of those teams are very good. They weren't good last year, and I think they'll maybe worse this year. I could see literally any one of those teams winning that division. I think I give a nod to the Saints, but that's kind of because I'm a big Derek Carr guy.
I'm not even that. Is Tampa trying to find a quarterback? Baker ain't the answer probably.
Yeah.
No.
I'm
going to Saints.
Yeah. I think. Yeah. I'm going to throw out one more quarterback. Again, we've done our early picks. these are some guys you might want to target. A guy who's going really low was a top 10 quarterback last year, Geno Smith. I think if Geno Smith can put up 4,000 yards last year and 30 touchdowns, and they only made that offense better. they add JSN, they add Zach Cabernet. I think Geno Smith might be a steal this year.
I like Geno. I think
I'm
Geno
going
is
big
going
on Geno this year.
Yo, Geno going to have a good year.
Yeah.
Geno is going.
In that barbershop league we mentioned with the 2 quarterbacks, let Geno Smith fall to like 10, 12, and I'm in the back.
I'll tell you something. Geno is going to be actually gone. I think in that league, I think Geno is probably 8, 9, 10, somewhere in that range.
Yeah. I think he's back in the first round.
Yeah, back in the first round, in my opinion. Because it's a drop-off, like we said earlier. Once you get past Mahomes, Barrow, Allen, Herbert, then it's a slip.
Yeah.
At that point, it's anybody. It's really.
I tell you,
it's more of a preference.
If I'm at 6, I might jump and say Geno before a lot of those other guys. You might, just because, like I said, there's such a drop-off. I might go for the potential Geno Smith being like
that is news there.
Hey, I'm not guaranteeing it. It's not my.
I'm just saying, like
it's not etched in stone. But after the top 5 guys,
yeah, it gets shaky.
I mean,
it's real shaky.
Geno Smith was, I think, number 7 in that league last year.
Yeah, it's shaky.
Why not? Why not?
Ooh, I mean,
maybe.
Gee, I can't even argue with you, really.
Yeah.
Because he did better numbers, and 5 to 10 is so shaky. Because shaky. Kirk Cousins, you get games where he's good, and you get games where he's bad.
Kirk Cousins threw for 4,547 yards, 29 touchdowns. But a lot of that is because the team was so bad, they had to do these come from behind things, and it just, to me, it's not sustainable. There's a reason they got knocked out the playoffs early. But I guess for fantasy football, you don't care, because if he's going to be in that kind of situations. But like you said, you can't depend on him on a regular basis. Kirk Cousins will let you down. I say that as a person who's been let down several times.
Are you sliding Jalen Hurts at 5 or 6 in that league? In that league,
yes. I said before, for me, Jalen Hurts is probably around. And I was tempted. I talked to you earlier that I'm tempted to say maybe even Jalen Hurts as the second best quarterback. I backed off of it and put Josh Allen back up in there.
Yeah,
but for me, Josh Allen is around 4 or 5. No lower than 6 to me, because he's going to give you. I can't see him throwing for less than what he did last year. And last year he gave you 3,700 with his arm. I think he can hit 4,000 this year.
I mean, he missed,
and if he gives me those rushing yards and touchdowns to go along with it, I'm in for that.
Well, he missed 2 games, right?
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
missed 2 games.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I can see that. I can see now. Cause for me, 5, man, like. You can go Jalen Hurts. You can go. It's really a preference.
Yeah.
You can go Jalen. You can go Prescott. You can go Geno. Somebody might want to say, "All right, give me Kurt." Somebody might say Trevor Lawrence.
5 to 10. I take Aaron Rodgers. Definitely take Trevor Lawrence at that spot. I think Dak Prescott should be in the 5 to 10. He missed a lot of games last year.
Yeah.
So I think he bounces back.
I mean, that's 5 to 10 is very
iffy.
Up and down. It's iffy.
It's very iffy.
Yes, it's to the point where you can just say, "All right, this is my guy who I like."
Yeah.
It ain't gonna be a ranking to say, "Well, this guy is number 5," because it can't be. It's not.
Yeah. The interesting thing about this offseason, there's been so much turnaround. That I think it's gonna be a challenging fantasy football year, because you gotta throw out some of your conventional logic. So I'm looking forward to it.
You gotta put a little heart into it and just decide like what you think is best.
And you gotta get lucky, which is always the case, right?
So
All right.
That's all we got, man.
That's it. So, hey, let us know. Hit us up in our social media, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube comments, Instagram. Let us know what you think. Hey, let us know what you're doing for your early draft targets. If you've already hit your draft, definitely let us know what you came away with. We can try to help you out as best as we can. If your draft is coming up, let us know who you're thinking about. And, hey, come back. We'll be here in another 2 weeks.
Like and subscribe, man. We here. We ain't going nowhere. Let's go.
There you go. Peace out, everybody.